Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on this video. Lately on the channel, I've done a lot of silly fun things like logo rankings and jersey rankings, just having a lot of fun. But we're going to talk about something serious in this video, getting back to some serious hockey talk here. I got Brent with me. If you guys are new to the channel, it's my dad. And it's your first appearance on the renamed channel, Post to Post Productions. I can't say that.
Matt DiBenedetto.
Yeah. Mika Zibanejad.
There you go.
So a topic like this would usually be found in our podcast, which releases every single Sunday. But since I'm traveling over here to PEI, we're not actually doing the podcast this weekend or next weekend. Episode 100 is going to be on the new channel, the Post to Post podcast channel. If you're not subscribed, head on down below to the description. There's a link down below. But with that said, that means we need to talk about some serious hockey stuff outside the podcast since we're not doing it, and that's what this video is all about. We're going to talk about Kassian, and I want to talk a little bit about the Chara incident. Did you see it?
The Chara incident.
The cross-check to Gallagher's face?
Oh.
Or neck?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh.
But, sorry.
That's okay.
I fast-forwarded through the game.
No problem.
But, sorry.
You did see the Kassian one?
I did.
Okay, so
Definitely did.
That is the meat of this video, so it's a good thing that you did see that. So recently, Kassian kicked someone. If you haven't seen the video, where have you been? Because it's been everywhere on Twitter and social media and stuff. He kicked someone, and he got a suspension for it. He got 7 games. It was announced late last night, my time. And I just want to kind of get your thoughts on it and kind of get my thoughts as well and let you know how I feel about the situation. Are you surprised that he's suspended at all?
Based on the play, I'm not surprised he was suspended. I was surprised that he did it because he was turning into such a good news story. He had turned his life around because he was a troubled man the first few years he played hockey.
On and off ice.
On and off the ice, correct. And I was watching the Edmonton-Calgary game a few weeks ago. That's my favorite rivalry, I think.
Same,
on
currently.
The planet, out of any sport. Edmonton playing Calgary. I can't get enough of that.
Wait, overall or just?
Overall.
Oh, really?
Right now. It's better than Man City versus Manchester United.
You just said right now. Overall, right at the currently or in all of time? Because...
Oh, well, in all of time, that might be different.
Okay, but right now...
We've got Athens and Sparta. They've got Hitler and Churchill.
No.
You go back a long way there.
Phil Kessel and hot dogs.
There you go,
okay,
yeah.
Shout out to Dan.
But it was turning into such a good news story because he cleaned his dependency issues up. He was thriving as an Edmonton Oiler. He was appearing on the score sheet. He was involved in the play. He wasn't just that guy who's there to agitate.
Although he did get a suspension recently.
He did.
But it was a very typical suspension that you might see from a different player.
Yeah.
It wasn't a typical, it wasn't a specific Matt or Zack Kassian thing. It was just one of those plays that could have been anyone who plays an aggressive game.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit different.
It is a little bit different, and I was so disappointed. I heard about it first, read about it, and then I actually saw a replay. I wasn't watching the game when it happened. And I'm just so darn disappointed for the Oilers and for him. And it makes you wonder whether people can really change, whether they can reform themselves. I've always been of the view, and I think I still am, that you can turn a page and you can become a better version of yourself, and then that sticks. And then every so often the monster comes out. In this case, and I don't know if that means that he's unable to do that or what. I feel bad for him, and I feel bad for the team.
You feel bad for him?
I do, because to me it's almost it's a no filter. We've seen Marchand do some oddball things too, although he's a very skilled player. This here was a no filter thing. I'm sure the minute he extended his foot and pulled it back, he probably went, "Oh man, what did I do that for? I hope they didn't catch that in the replay."
Yeah.
Because I just think his filter kicks in half a second too late, and I feel bad. Yeah.
Okay. I definitely don't feel bad for him. I think if you look at his suspension and fine history, it's a pretty lengthy rap sheet.
Yep.
And then he just got suspended recently, so he's considered a repeat offender. And he was offered an in-person hearing, and he declined it.
Yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb.
Maybe there's other reasons because of that, like travel or whatever. But if you are offered an in-person hearing, you're getting at least 6 games, which means it doesn't really matter if you're away from the team because you're not playing for the next 2.5, 3 weeks anyway.
That's right. Travel's not a problem anymore.
It doesn't really matter. So the fact that he declined the in-person interview was to me a slap in the face to the Department of Player Safety. I'm not saying that he got the 7th game instead of 6 because he declined, but if I was on the Department of Player Safety, I would be more interested in teaching him a lesson because he kind of slapped us in the face a little bit by not showing up. He elected for a phone interview. Now, I don't want to see in person. Like, just call me and tell me what I got. It's kind of a dick move, to be honest, in my opinion. But
yeah. When I say I feel bad for him, I don't feel that he was poorly done by or unfairly treated. I think he deserved every bit of his suspension, and it's not just 7 games. It's like $160,000 in missing wages and fines, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's an expensive move, and
for him.
And I'm just sad. It just makes me sad. Like he did it. He deserves his punishment. But I'm just sad about it.
It's a shame that he can't learn his lesson this far into his career.
Yeah.
Because he's been around for a while. I personally do believe that 7 games wasn't enough, based on 2 things. Number one, his history, his entire.
Yeah.
I know that he's only considered a repeat offender because of his most recent infraction or suspension this season prior to what just happened. But if you look at his career overall, clearly he's not learned a lesson once, twice, 3, 4, like 5. The list goes down on to we're at like 11 or 12 now or whatever it is. Clearly he doesn't learn his lesson. So 7 games isn't like he's been suspended before for more than 7 games, I believe. I think he got 10 once. Wow. Obviously that didn't fix anything. So to me, 7 isn't going to do anything. And reason number 2, you kick someone. Like there's something you don't do in hockey, and that's kick people.
Because you're wearing weapons on your feet. These are people have had necks, wrists cut. They've come close to death because of the cut of a skate blade. These things are very sharp. Mm-hmm. And to even think that, trying to push, his explanation was, I'm trying to push the guy away, or I just...
Yeah, he was holding, and I can see that argument. He's holding my foot. What am I supposed to do? At the time, his foot was free, and he decided to kick back. So I don't personally buy that argument at all.
I don't either.
I just, like, if... There's been suspensions before where people have kicked people or stepped on people or whatever and got suspended. Jeff Skinner in 2012, I believe, got 2 games for it. With this one, he's laying on his back and he's kicking up into the chest of a player 5-10 inches up. That's a cut in the throat. And this was my question on the recent Fan Friday video. If he did kick whoever it was, it doesn't matter who the player was, if he did kick a player in the throat, what would he get suspended for? And if that player got cut and there's blood everywhere and had to leave the ice, what do you think he would? How many games or how many years do you think he would be suspended?
I think he'd be out of the game of professional hockey for the rest of his life.
I completely agree. Actually, I think back to the Marty McSorley thing,
Todd Bertuzzi thing.
The Todd Bertuzzi thing. That would be on the level.
It's at that level.
I honestly, I think it's above the level, because you're not just doing something way over the line. You're using a weapon at that point.
Yeah, it's attempt to injure.
It's more than a stick. It's more than a punch. Yeah. It's something that can literally kill someone.
Yeah.
Like 10 inches up, that's possible death right there. So, I mean, remember back a long time ago, Clint Malarchuk got the skate to the throat, and that was really scary.
Awful. And that basically was the end of his hockey playing. I don't think he played after that.
I do not remember what happened to his career.
If I'm not mistaken, I saw a documentary later. Like, it was a very traumatic experience for him for a long time. I think he did come back and play a few games at the end of that season, but that was it after that. So
I wish they would have sent the message, because of the way that specific play happened. I wish the Department of Player Safety would have sent the message and said, this cannot happen. This is not acceptable. 20 games.
I wouldn't have complained about it if they'd done that. I think, like, watching it, I had to watch it a couple of times to try to develop in my mind what his intent was when he's doing this, because I was thinking for a second, well, maybe it's more of a pulling the foot back and just, get out of my way and get off my.
It wasn't a hard kick.
There's 2 players down. It was Kassian and the other guy, and then it was the guy on top.
Would you agree that it wasn't a hard kick?
I agree. It was not a hard kick.
But it was more of a kick than it should have been. Like
That's right.
It wasn't a soft kick, but it was...
It was not a hard kick, but with a lethal blade on your foot, it doesn't have to be hard to be dangerous.
Yes, exactly.
So,
good point.
Yeah,
Well
and
said.
I think he's operating now, like if a cat has 9 lives and a hockey player has a few, as far as reputation and the ability to come back into the game, for various reasons. In the case of Kovalchuk, he's on probably his last chance to prove himself as an NHL player. Nothing to do with discipline. It's all to do with performance and drive and motivation. But for a lot of players, it's to do with discipline. And I think he's on his last chance, and he was making a good run of it.
Yes.
Until recently. And I don't know, I know the Oilers, I know the Canadians when he was with Montreal, they didn't know what to do with him. The Oilers, they poured a lot of hope into him, and it was being paid back. It was paying off, and it was working. And I was
he just got that new contract.
Yeah.
When he was with Montreal, I believe it was substance abuse.
Yeah.
I think it was alcohol related. But just to keep on the Montreal trend, and I know you didn't see the hit, or you didn't see the incident, but I want to tell you what happened.
Okay.
So basically, and we're going to circle back to Kassian here in a minute, but basically Gallagher, who is 5'10" or whatever, and Chara, who's 6'7" or 9 or whatever he is, they got into just some cross-checking, like nothing too bad.
I did see that, actually, now that you mentioned it. They
So-
were down in the Boston end.
Yeah, it was between whistle or whatever.
Yeah,
and
I did see
Chara cross-checked him in the throat. Obviously, there's a height difference there, but that looked extremely intentional. And as a Canadiens fan, it's hard for me to say against a Boston player, that's a suspension. Like I'm viewed as a typical Canadiens fan, just out to get the Boston player. But I have not seen anyone on Twitter or online say that Chara should not have been suspended. Everyone has said
Wow.
that deserved a suspension, at least a game or two. I personally just see it as probably a game. I probably wouldn't give 2. But anyways, Steve Koulias on the NHL Network. Yeah, Steve. Who I really have come to like a
You've told
lot
me that,
on the
and-
NHL
and I
Network.
accept
He's
that.
my favorite. He's not my favorite anymore. He talked a lot about this Chara Gallagher thing on the NHL Network, and he was such an advocate for getting Chara suspended. He couldn't believe that Chara was not suspended for this. He wanted a couple of games or whatever. And then this Kassian thing came out, and he said he thought it would be 4. He thought 4 was reasonable, 5 was too high, 6 is getting out of hand, and 7 is just crazy, whatever. Some people are commenting on that tweet and like calling him out or saying it's like the worst take ever, whatever. And he was defending himself and saying that basically 7 is an absolutely crazy number for what he did. And he was using Skinner's as an example.
Right.
Jeff Skinner got 2 games in 2012, but Jeff Skinner wasn't a repeat offender and basically had no prior history to my knowledge at the time. He got 2 games. Of course, if you have a prior history and you're considered a repeat offender, you're probably going to get more games, so that's where the difference of the 2 games and the 7 games come in. Mm-hmm. I would say most people wanted 10 games or more. Some people wanted 20 games. I personally don't think that I could not see the NHL giving 20 games for this. But if they really wanted to send a message, they would have. I honestly was expecting at least 10 games. I was thinking like 10 or 11 games. So 7 was under what I was thinking. So I completely disagree with Steve there. But it's just interesting to see him be such an advocate for Chara to be suspended for the cross-check, but think that only 4 was deserving for a kick, which to me is way worse than a cross-check. But he did compliment Gallagher a lot for... He took a cross-check to the throat. Most of the players would have fallen down to the ice, pretended they were injured, or maybe they were really injured, and Chara probably would have got suspended then. But Gallagher took it like a man, and because he didn't embellish it or pretend he was hurt or whatever, Chara didn't get suspended for it, wow. Which is a whole nother video topic in itself.
Yeah, really.
But
really, Gallagher, I was watching a bit of the Pittsburgh-Montreal game last night, and I thought there were a couple of calls that should have been called on Pittsburgh. There's a couple of really, I thought, blatant cross-checks right in front of Tristan Jarry that weren't called. I think should have been called, and certainly the coach and the players thought they should have been called. The announcers, they're Montreal homers, and I'm a Montreal fan. And then to see a Montreal player, I think it was Drouin or somebody, like his stick barely touched the skate of one of the Pittsburgh players, and down he went, and Montreal got a penalty. Pittsburgh scored in the power play, and then it was 3-1. You know, so the game just get out of hand after that. But reffing is still an issue. Consistency is still a huge issue in the NHL, and it's not happening. Now, on the Gallagher side, whenever I see Gallagher with the puck, I know he's going to fall down. That's what he does.
Or crash the net.
Yeah, one or the other. But he's going to end up on his rear end.
Yeah.
By hook or by crook, because that's just because of his size, because of the way his physicality interacts with other people's center of gravity. He goes down all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for him to not go down and stay down on this, I think it is a credit to him.
Yeah,
he's a tough nut.
He is tough.
He's going to have so many aches and pains when he's an old man. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
But good for him for getting up.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing your opinion on both topics. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you could leave your comment down below and tell us how many games you think Kassian should have gotten, and if you think Chara should have gotten suspended, and if you do think that, how many games should Chara have gotten? If you have been watching this video the entire time and have seen these pile of boxes next to me and thinking, what the hell is that? This is for Mail Time. If you are not aware, if you're new to the channel, we have a Mail Time series that was originally on the other channel. It'll now be on this channel. It was where we get letters from fans who watch us, our subscribers, and we thank them so much for sending in letters and packages. Usually we get a lot of letters. This time we got a lot of packages. So there's some very generous people out here. We're going to open this up technically right now, but you'll see it in a couple days or maybe the day after this video. And if you feel for like sending in a letter and telling us your story, the P.O. box is listed down below in the description. So yeah, feel free to send us a letter. If you do send a package, I'm not saying you have to, we really just want your letters. That's why we open up the P.O. box. If you do send a package, make sure it's done through your local country's mail system. So we have Canada Post, United States has USPS, United States Postal Service, because if you use Purelator or FedEx or anything like that, these third-party couriers, they do not deliver to our Canada Post mailbox, so we won't actually get the package. We just want to make that known out there. So thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it, and hope you can hit the subscribe button down below because there's lots of videos coming out on this channel. And thanks again for joining me. We'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.